the kitchen. I'm going to show you how to make my famous 50-50 bread. It's a back to school loaf. Now this is inspired, all my ladies from the 80s, can you feel me, from my Mighty White days. Who had Mighty White bread when they were kids?
Soft wheat and rye grains. Big deal.
And 30% more fibre.
Right tasty Mighty White. It's mightier than the average white.
It's basically half white bread, flour, and half like a multi-seeded flour all put into one loaf. Starting off by adding both my flours, strong white bread flour and my strong multi-grain flour. Fine sea salt. Just give that a little bit of a mix before we add our yeast in. And for this, you know, it's back to school, we're in a rush. Get out the door, kids, I've got bread to make, so I'm using a time saver yeast. You can get sachets of yeast in the supermarket. Look out for ones that say time saver, because basically it proves in like half the time. Bob's your auntie. In that goes. Give that a little mix round. Loads of people message me and say, I don't have a stand mixer, I can't possibly make bread. So I'm just going to do this by hand today and show you how easy it is to do. So in there, I'm going to add my water, a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. You can use any oil you like, or you can use butter, doesn't really matter. And now I'm just going to mix that together to start with, just with a spoon, because it's obviously quite sticky. Now this is a really great bread to make because, you know, the kids are going back to school, you've got to do all the lunches, but it's fantastic because it's so much cheaper than buying bread from the supermarket. You can make this, slice it up, whack it in the freezer, or you can even make your sandwiches and freeze your sandwiches. So it's always handy to have a bread scraper. They're just like £1 online. It does make it much easier because you can get your bread out of the bowl without it sticking to you, and you don't waste much either. At the moment it just looks like a scrappy sort of porridge. It is quite a sticky dough, but the wetter the better. Do you know that's a phrase in bread making? The wetter the better. The more hydration in the loaf, it's going to be more squishy and sponge-like. So don't be tempted to chuck it on the surface and use loads of extra flour for kneading it, because it's just going to dry your bread out, okay? So if you do find to start with it's really sticky, you can just do what I'm doing here and just knead it in the bowl to begin with, okay? As it becomes more of a kind of like homogeneous dough, you'll see it starts to stick to itself rather than sticking onto the bowl or sticking onto the surface. It just kind of comes together like a creature, I like to say. If you don't have a bread scraper, you can just get something like your spatula. So dump him out onto the surface. You see, you can get every bit out there. So like I say, it's very sticky, like porridge-like. So there's a few different techniques that you can do for kneading. This is one. This is called slapping and folding. So pick it up from both sides, like almost like lifting it up from underneath, and you slap it on its back, bosh, and then fold over. And that's just going to start to develop those gluten chains in the bread. To knead by hand, you're going to want to do this for like 10 minutes. Don't get the flour out and knead it, honestly, trust me, just work with it. Just accept the fact that you're going to be a bit sticky for the first few minutes, and eventually as it comes together, as it becomes kneaded, it will start to stick more to itself than to you. Now I'm going to show you another kneading technique. So this is a stretch and tear technique. If you don't want to do the slap and fold one that I've just shown you, you can do this. You're literally using the heel of your hand and you just basically push it away. So now at the moment it's really sticky. It just looks like a pasty mess on the surface. That's okay, just keep working with it. Every so often, you know, you might want to just get your scraper and just bring it back. I'm going to carry on doing this, and about halfway through we'll show you the kind of slight difference that you're looking for. So I've been kneading for about 6 minutes now. It's still sticky, but you can see it's more kind of becoming a homogeneous dough, and it's a bit easier to handle. So I'm going to carry on for another 6 minutes. It's completely kneaded now. It's nice and springy and boingy, and the way to tell if it's done is just like if you pick it up, it kind of wants to stay together more than it did before. It's still a bit sticky, but that's because it's going to be delicious. So pop it in the bowl, just like that. Again, just scrape off any that's sticking to you. So in summary, the 3 things you're looking for is it's smooth and elastic, it's nice and stretchy, it won't break when you pull it, and it's sticking to itself, not the surface. Cover up the dough. We've used the time saver yeast, so it'll be about 30 to 40 minutes. If you're using regular yeast, you'll be looking at about an hour and a half. He is risen. My goodness, look at this. That has more than doubled in size. That's been at room temperature for about an hour. The quick yeast has really done its job. So as you can see, look at all those bubbles in there. This is going to be absolutely delicious. So once your dough's risen like this, it's important to knock it back, reshape it and put it in the tin. Then it's going to have a lovely even rise, okay, because you're kind of like knocking out all that air, and it's kind of starting again to do its second rise in the bread tin. I've got buttery hands because I've just added some butter to my rather snazzy tin. So I put loads of butter in there so it's not going to stick. So a lot of the time when people are new to making bread, they'll keep putting loads of extra flour down and kneading it because it's kind of like feeling sticky, but you've just got to go with it. I've got some butter on my hands because I've buttered my tin, but you can use oil if you want to, it doesn't matter. I've got my trusty scraper here. So I'm just going to knock down that lovely risen dough. Ready? This is the fun bit. Bosh. Look at that. That was full of air. This was a really sticky dough, but as you can see, because it's risen, it's really kind of come together. So just kind of like knocking that back, just pressing out any sort of like major air bubbles. Just pull it out into a bit of a rectangle like this. Obviously, that's the kind of size of my tin. I'm going to keep aiming for having it about that length once it's shaped. So first of all, just fold it in three, kind of like an envelope. Like that. Then I'm going to roll it up into a nice sort of coil. Nice and tight. Tuck those ends in. So I'm going to pop it into the tin. As you can see at the moment, it's kind of a little bit short. So before I pop it in, I'm just literally now going to kind of like roll it out a bit, just to kind of stretch it and elongate that bread before I pop it in the tin. And again, if you're struggling a bit, you know, if it is sticky, you can use your scraper to jiggle it about. That's nice and long now. In it goes into its little tin. Then I'm just going to cover him up, pop him to bed, and just leave that to do its second rise. Obviously, I've used a quick yeast here. If you use a regular sachet yeast, it will take a bit longer. It all depends on your room temperature. At room temperature, this will take about another 45 minutes to an hour to rise up again. Or if you need to pop out, you can pop it in the fridge, and that will slow down the rising process. It will just take like between 2 and 3 hours. So this has definitely risen. It's looking pretty impressive. So that's nice and risen. It's been in a tin for about an hour and a half at room temperature. So now it's time to whack it in the oven. I've got the oven on at 220 degrees because I want it to be in when it's nice and hot for the first 10 minutes, and then I'm going to turn it down to 200 for the rest of the bake after the first 10 minutes. You notice I've got a glass of water. That's because I like to put steam in the oven. So I'm going to chuck some in there when I pop the loaf in. So let's whack him in. I think he's going to be a big boy for sure. Bosh. Right. That's going to take about 35 to 40 minutes, so we'll come back when he's all lovely and crispy and golden. Oh wow, that is perfection. Look at that turn. Just look at that magnificent loaf. I mean, you couldn't buy that in the shop, could you? It smells amazing. Get him out. I know it's really tempting, but don't slice it straight away, because if you do and it's red hot, it will just kind of rip and goes all into a mush. So you need to leave it at least 20 minutes with all your willpower, and then we'll come back and we'll slice ours up when it's still a little bit warm. Can't wait to try it. Oh, so crunchy, listen to that. The moment of truth. Just look at the soft, fluffy texture of this bread. I don't think I've seen a more perfect loaf in my life. I do say that to all the breads I know. Oh, wow. That is absolutely gorgeous. Just look at that. I've got to try it while it's lovely and hot, some salty butter. Bit of sea salt. Here's a real treat. There we go. Wow. That is absolutely perfect. So tasty. It not just for sandwiches, but for soups or just eating like this. Everything you need to make this is just down there. Make sure you subscribe for more breads and bakes.